The fight continues in western North Carolina to keep residents safe and healthy amid the ongoing disaster response efforts. Some are still without power, water, or easy access to the outside world for a third week now. Our investigative reporter Naomi Coles went along with one crew working to help those residents in the hardest hit parts of Yancey County.
When postal service is stopped and roads like this are washed out, folks in the mountains are cut off from things like prescriptions and medical care. I spent the afternoon with two community paramedics in Yancey County who have spent the last 2.5 weeks bridging that gap. In the face of his own loss.
One of my closest friends I found out was one of the casualties.
Evan Carroll still has a job to do.
Getting people the medications they need, go to the pharmacies, pick up scripts.
He founded Yancey County's community paramedic program and expanded it just before Helene.
Thanks, y'all.
Bringing on Nicole McKinney.
We're up at 6 or 7 o'clock, and then I'm getting home at 8 or 9 o'clock.
Evan and Nicole now spend their days using Nicole's own side-by-side to get up mountain roads and around fallen trees and rubble. All to get much-needed medications, supplies, and medical care to folks cut off. Their patient list has doubled since Helene.
And sometimes we're just a voice of sunshine.
There's so many needs. There's just so many. It's a blur at this point.
Much of Yancey County is still without power or water. Cell service still largely non-existent. Those problems are compounding medical issues for many.
Got a guy that has a delicate cancer medication that needs to stay refrigerated, so he's dependent on that generator and gas.
Lack of running water is its own threat.
There are several health risks involved.
North Carolina's state epidemiologist, Dr. Zach Moore, worries about the contamination and gastrointestinal illnesses that weeks without running water could bring.
That's a very serious concern, especially with the flood water that unfortunately does contain a lot of things, including human and animal waste.
As we wrapped up our day with Evan and Nicole on Monday, they were heading next to the county's command post.
I still have one that is unaccounted for.
It's an uncertainty that's haunted them since Helene hit.
We drive by this house, and this little old man's always sitting on his front porch, and and then you drive by there, and that house doesn't even exist. So then you start down the whole path of, well, did he get out? Is he okay? Has he been found? Like, it's a lot.
"12 are confirmed dead here in Yancey County, and the efforts to recover human remains are still ongoing. Reporting in Yancey County, Naomi Coles, WBTV, on your side.
Naomi, thank you.